mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
But once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. Yo, welcome to another episode of Chill Will Radio. Welcome to another episode of Chill Will Radio, man. Hope everybody's doing swell. Man. As always, my name is Willis Cooks. This is another episode of Chill Will Radio, and I am your host. This is episode number 13? Sheesh. Episode number 13, man. It feels like I just started this like yesterday. It's a long road, man. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon, but hey, episode number 13 of Chill Will Radio, man. And what are we going to talk about today? First and foremost, before I even get to that part, to those individuals who are listening thus far, thank you. To those individuals who will be listening in the middle because you got something going on right now, you ain't able to check in real quick, thank you. And to those individuals who will not be listening at all because they have not caught on yet, good looking, because you will catch on eventually. As always, it's Chill World Radio. Here we're speaking about mental health within the black community. All things mental health, the good, the bad, the ugly, the truth, the real and not so real. Those taboo topics, those things that certain people aren't supposed to be talking about, certain things we're supposed to be talking about. Those real conversations will be held here on Chill World Radio, here at the Good News Radio Station. So, for everyone listening, thank you. What are we talking about today? Right? The thing that we're talking about today is the benefits of losing it all. Right? The benefits of losing it all. Right? Everything that we're looking at, everything that we go through in life, it's a mindset. How are we going to look at it? What can we gain from it? What is our view and our perspective on the actual problem and situation? That's what we're going to be going through today. That's what we're going to be speaking about today, right? Because you're not really losing in a situation. The way that we are looking at the situation is causing us to believe that we're losing. So it's always some form of benefits in losing something. But when you're losing it all, when you have nothing, you feel like shit has turned the fan. If I said that right, the shit has hit the fan. There we go. The shit has hit the fan. You don't feel like you have anything left, nothing left in your tank. Some things that come along with that, man. And that's what we're going to speak about here today on Chill World Radio. But how am I doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing much better. I mean, I never was doing crappy, but I had a little cold, sick, whatever. I don't get sick at all. The last time I genuinely been sick was honestly about 5 or 6 years ago. That's how many times I get sick, once every 5 or 6 years. But when I get sick, it is over. Like, I am in bed, in a fetal position, just don't do nothing. And I don't take medicine, right? The only thing that I will take is some form of aspirin just to deal with a headache. But outside of that, I'm just gonna thug it out and just lay in the fetal position, all moaning and crying and just let me be weak. But I didn't get to that point. I was thoroughly surprised. I was expecting that type of sickness for me because that's the type of sickness I always get when I get sick. But that didn't come, and I am grateful for that, and I am feeling better. No more snotty nose, no more little coughing and all the other stuff. So thankful for that. Thankful to my little concoction that I be cooking up, all that good stuff. But it's the end of the year. This is the last episode of the year. We have made it through another year of 2020. we've made it through another year. We've made it through 2018. Let's just give a round of applause for that. For making it through the year. There's so many individuals who was not able to make it through this year. So many individuals who, you know, God called upon them early on. You know, I've lost a few folks this year. I had some very, very close friends that lost a few folks this year. So if you're just making it to what's the first Tuesday? If you're just able to make it to Tuesday, shit. If you're able to make it every single day, every single morning you wake up, you should be grateful. But the fact that you've been able to make it through a whole other year, hats off to you, man. Bravo to you, man. So it is the end of the year. 2018 is wrapping up. This shit flew. This shit flew. I feel like it was January yesterday. And, you know, just looking back and reflecting on, you know, the year. Looking back and reflecting on the year, it's been a very good year, and it's also been a very I'm not even gonna say it's been a very, very bad year, but it's been a very, very good year. This is probably one of the best years I've had in a while. Probably one of the best years that I've had in a while. This would definitely be a year to remember, solely because of the things that went on within this year, the negative things that went on through this year, and then how I was able to take that and learn from it. And that goes into, obviously, that goes into the main topic of today, which is like the benefits of losing it all. Because at the top of the year, I was like, fuck, this shit is a wrap. At the top of the year, it was sick. So I'll get into, you know, the reason as to why it was sick at the top of the year. But just overall, just looking at myself and how much I've grown this year, man, I am just eternally grateful for the fact that I've been able to really fall in love with pushing myself to the limit, right? And I think that's what this year has stood up. I think that's, I guess, the catchphrase or the line, slogan, or whatever it is for me this year, which is pushing yourself to the limit, right? This year I've done a lot of things that I normally would not do, right? I'm posting more on Instagram. I don't take pictures. I hate that. You know, I try my best. To take at least one picture a day. That's going to go into the self-care piece, but I try my best to take at least one picture a day just so I can try to feel a little bit comfortable, because I hate that. You know, I'm not the Instagram person. I don't like that. I don't like putting myself out there. That's who I am, right? I'm naturally an introverted person, and I don't like my business really out there in the streets, but I've always been inclined to do something good. I've always been inclined to do something good, do something powerful, and I just didn't know where to start. So this year, I've really been pushing myself in those areas that I did not like, right? So this year has been just pushing my limits to the beginning, not to the beginning, but to the end, right? Until if I hate it, I'm going along with it. If I have a thought in my head, I'm going along with it. Solely because we have to go as soon as that thought comes, because if we just sit and try to worry about that thought or try to think of something else, all of those negative thoughts are going to start to come in. Like, we know how our brain works. It's retarded, right? We sit down for 2 seconds, we think of a positive thought, boom, that shit is cool. But 3 seconds later, you can't do this. You shouldn't do this. You don't have the money. You don't have the resources. You don't know the people. Nobody's going to support you. You look ugly. You ain't confident about yourself. You got all these negative things and all these negative thoughts that you're giving in and that you're feeding yourself, to where that positive thought that popped up in your head, you done forgot about it. You done talked yourself into a hole. Now you're just like, fuck it. I ain't doing it. Forget it. I'm just going to move on. Or we just get so complacent in what we are doing. We get so comfortable. Right? A lot of us, even with myself in the beginning of the year, we get so comfortable in the fact that this couch feels good. You know, I don't need to get up right now, or I put it off tomorrow, right? Procrastination is a bitch, right? We're going to put it off for the next day and the next day and the next day. And then next thing you know, we're not even doing it. We're not as excited about it anymore. So now we're just like, fuck it, right? But the one thing I've been consciously doing every single day this year is pushing myself to the limit, doing certain things that I just do not enjoy, because it's like I have to get over at some point. So pushing myself to the limit, the stuff that I do on Instagram, the podcast, the Barry Stories podcast, putting myself out there more as a clinician, as a therapist, and even this damn radio show, yo. Even this radio show, like, I am so grateful for being here, so fortunate for being here, because I remember those early conversations I've had with Keith, and Keith has always told me, like, yo, Willis, it's so many people that hit me up asking me to be on the network and blah, 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 and I'm like, yeah. And he's telling me I turn everyone down. He's like, I turn people down, and there's people who don't have this and don't have that in their ass. He's like, he's turned people down all the time. And, you know, Keith, he seen something to me to where he offered me the position to be here, right? He offered me the show, you know, and I was like, fuck that. Hell the fuck nah. In the beginning, but as I sat with it, I thought through it, I was like, yo, why not? You know, because like I was saying earlier, if we come across, when we have those positive ideas, which was Keith offering me this show, I sat with it. But as I sat with it, I was like, nah, I don't have any experience. I don't like that. I don't have any experience. I don't like taking pictures. I don't want to put myself out there like that. I'm not confident in my voice. I don't want to say anything that offend anybody, because I understand I could be an asshole sometimes. I'm just like, just was like, no. Hell the fuck nah. But Keith, he allowed me to, he took his time, right? Because this show was actually supposed to start, I think, in like July. This show actually was supposed to start in like July or August, one of those. But I kept pushing it back, and then Keith always told me, like, yo, come to me when you're ready. Come to me when you're ready. And I thoroughly, you know, shout out to my man Keith, man. I thoroughly appreciate you for that, for just actually believing in me and seeing something that I didn't see in myself. So, you know, that's another aspect of something that I'm proud of this year. So for me, the phrase or the slogan of the year that I've done for myself is just pushing myself to the limit, you know, on every single aspect. And I thoroughly challenge everyone to do that. Thoroughly challenge everyone to do that. Push yourself to the limit. If you have a thought, go do it. If there's something that you're not sure about, go do it. If somebody's offering you something and it's not going to physically harm you in any type of way, go do it, right? Because one of the main reasons why I've done this was because I don't have any experience, right? We live in a world to where experience is king, right? You have to have that experience in order to get certain jobs, in order for people to trust you, in order for people to actually know your worth. You know, so for me coming on here, I was like, I never thought about radio. I was like, fuck it. I ain't putting myself on the mic every week. I'm by myself. I got to come up and do everything by myself. I'm like, hell the fuck no. However, right, we got to switch at the way we look at things. Just like one of the first things I've said, we got to, everything is not the problem that we're afraid of. You know, the problem isn't the problem. It's the way that we're looking at the problem that's the problem. Right? The problem isn't the problem. It's the way that we're looking at the problem that makes the problem a problem. I know that seems like kind of tongue twister, but you know, for me, even though I didn't have experience, I looked at that as every reason to do it, every reason to do this show, right? Because I don't have it, right? Because I didn't have any experience, that means I started at the bottom, right? Zero, like probably negative 100, whatever. Right? I have no expectations. And I say that all the time. I have no expectations when it comes to this. I have no expectations when I come to a lot of things. And that's something else that I've been able to really start and really believe in and really, you know, go through and use. It's just aspect of not having any expectations to nothing. Right? So when it came to this show, I don't have any expectations to it. I don't expect myself to be the best. I don't expect myself to do this. I don't expect to have the most views, the most listeners here on the network. I don't expect any of that. But the one thing I do understand is that I'm going to absolutely work my ass off. And that's the only thing that I do have faith in. That's the only thing that I do expect for myself to work my ass off. And whatever is supposed to happen, whatever is supposed to come from this, comes from it, right? Because I know that I'm giving it my all. And because of that, right, I already knew, because I don't have any experience, that gives me every reason to do it, right? That gives me every reason to do it, because if it goes bad, hey, you ain't have any experience, but you've done all you could do, right? If it's not the best show out there, if people don't listen to it and blah, 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 that's all good. Why? Because you've done the best you can do, right? You don't have any experience in it. So if you fail, it's not really a fail because you never had any experience in it. You've learned something from it. But the smallest win, right? That one listener, that two listeners, whomever is listening to this, I don't care if it's one person a month. That one person a month sees something in me, and for that I have to say thank you. And for that, that's giving me every single reason as to why I should continue to do this, because a guy with no experience, someone is listening to them. So either way, I'm winning regardless, right? I have no experience, but a win or a lose, a loss or a win, I'm winning regardless. Period. So pushing your limits, man. That was for me for the year. I challenge that for everybody this year. Just do the best that you can do. In every single aspect. Don't be afraid. Just go. So, if you're listening in, man, please check in. Holla at me. Let me know that you're there. Just say what's up, what's the deal, what's popping. Didier, you have changed the way I look at certain things, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you for even being alive, Didier. Thank you for coming around and all the help that you've been doing, man. Shouts out to my guy, Didier, man. These videos that I'm putting together now for this show, this is my guy Didier, man. He comes in every single Sunday, faithful. Doesn't ask any questions. It's just like, yo, you need me? That's what he is, man. So Didier, thank you. It's things like this to where I'm just fortunate that I even got the chance to meet Didier, got the chance to meet a lot of the people on the network, because without me doing this, I would have never met some of the people that's kind of, I guess, my little team now that's formulating with this. So much, all thanks and hats off to everybody that I've came across, everybody that I've grown to know within this journey, everybody that's listening, everybody that's tuning in, and like I said, as always, everybody that's not tuning in, thank you, man. Thank you. But moving into the self-care piece, right? I kind of briefly touched on it during my little check-in or whatever. But, it has a lot to do with when it comes to fear, right? When it comes to trauma, there we go. When it comes to trauma, the number one thing that we have to do to get over any type of trauma, outside of accepting it, outside of forgiveness, outside of all of these coping mechanisms or whatever, anything when it comes to trauma, the one true way to get over any trauma is that we have to face it. But it is hard to face that trauma because we are fearful, right? We're scared for the outcome. We're not prepared for it. That's going to send us back to that traumatic moment, right? We don't want to get those flashbacks. We don't want to get back to where we were. However, there's one way, there's one true way to be able to attack this, right? And I can say I do this every day. I've been consciously doing this every day, and it's thoroughly helps. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but what I've realized, a lot of counterintuitive methods actually work. Actually freaking work. It's crazy, but they work. So when it comes to the self-care piece, the one thing I want you to add to your self-care regimen is to do something that you hate. Do one thing that you hate every single day. Do one thing that you hate every single day. Why should you do something that you hate? The reason why you should do at least one thing that you hate every single day is because you're going to build a tolerance to that thing that you dislike, right? That thing that you dislike, you're going to be able to get over it. That thing that you dislike is not going to affect you anymore, right? That thing that you dislike is not going to be able to own you anymore, right? That thing that you dislike, you're going to be able to face it instead of running away from that thing that you dislike, right? So it's important that we try to do at least one thing that we hate every day. It could be anything. Washing dishes, making up your bed, going to go run, cleaning up your car, go working out, waking up a little bit earlier. It don't have to be a whole hour earlier. It could be waking up 30 minutes earlier, getting up on time instead of waiting 5 extra minutes. Get up on time instead of waiting 5 extra minutes. Don't hit that snooze button. Start reading a book. Start doing something that you dislike every single day. The reason why that's important is because you're going to start to build a callus on your mind, right? You're going to start to build a callus on your brain. Understand this. that's not going to be something that you like. It's not going to be cool. It's not like me doing the one thing that I dislike or me doing the one thing that I hate every single day is going to cause me to like that. Hell the fuck no. Hell no. It's not about trying to like that thing. Get that through your head. It's not about trying to like that thing. When I'm telling you to do one thing that you dislike every single day, one thing that you hate every single day, is not so you can try to like that, but it's so that thing that you hate, you can become comfortable with doing the thing that you hate, right? Because anything in life you can build a tolerance to anything in life. You can build a tolerance to certain foods. You can build a tolerance to alcohol. You can build a tolerance to certain pain. You can build a tolerance to people. Right? If you're around somebody that's very, very annoying every single day, you're going to get used to that annoying person, right? Because you hate that, but that hatred that you have for his annoyance, if that's a word, that hatred that you have for his annoyance, he's not going to be as annoyed, right? So we have to get in the habit of learning how to build a callus on our brain, how to build a callus on our mind, because a lot of things that we go through, it's about a mindset. It's about how we're looking at the situation, right? So if we're doing that one thing that we hate every single day, we're not going to be afraid of that thing, right? And then the way that this relates to trauma, the way that this relates to fear, is because we hate our trauma, right? We don't want to go face it. We refuse to run into that traumatic moment. We refuse to run into that traumatic moment and face it because we hate it. Do something every single day so you can start to train your mind to that point, right? Because we can come up with all of these coping mechanisms and these defense mechanisms and all of these certain ways to be able to deal with the situation while we're in it. But what about approaching it, right? We always say we're going to wait until we're ready, but you don't know when you're going to be ready. You don't know how soon you're going to be ready. Shit, you may not ever be ready. Shoot, God's not going to send you a note from the sky and tell you, hey, yo, it's time to go face whoop-de-whoop. Not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. So, in order to get ready to face that, I highly challenge people to do at least one thing that you hate every single day. It does not have to be something ridiculous. Something small. Me, for instance, I have to do at least one thing I hate every single day, right? Which is running groups, right? It's not that I really hate running groups. I really, really do like running groups. However, I hate putting myself as the center of attention. I hate being the center of attention. I hate that with a passion. I don't like the attention on me. I don't. So when I'm doing groups, in the middle of doing groups, I am nervous. My hands are sweating. I am trying to figure out what it is. But because I've been running groups, because I literally run at least 2 groups. I run at least 2 groups every single day. Both of my jobs, right? Because I run groups at the main job and the other job. I run groups everywhere, every single day. I ran a group today, right? I'm not afraid to attack that. You know, I'm not getting an anxiety attack when it comes to it. I'm not like, fuck, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. No. I understand that I became more comfortable within that anxiety. I became more comfortable sitting in that nervousness, that feeling that's at the bottom of your stomach, the palms sweating, the thoughts of you stumbling over your words and the thoughts of you not saying the right thing. I've become comfortable with those thoughts. So those thoughts and those things that comes with anxiety and everything, that doesn't control me. Why? Because I understand it's going to happen. Remember, I said do not go into this thinking that you're going to do something you hate so you can magically love the thing that you hate. No. You're going to do something you hate so you can be comfortable with approaching that thing that you hate. Right? Because like I said, I am still nervous doing groups. I am most comfortable with kids. I am most comfortable with adolescents. I am still nervous doing those groups. Every single day I run a group, I am like, fuck. I hope I don't say nothing bad. But I let them kids know, like, yo, I'm nervous. I don't like this. But that what that does is that allows you to just accept where you at. Accept who you are, right? Because when we do the things that we hate, we have to also accept the fact that we don't like this. And it is fine. It is okay to not like something. And after you do that, after X amount of times or whatever, you're going to notice that getting up that extra 30 minutes isn't that bad. Going to go talk to that other person that you dislike isn't that bad. Going to do those groups like I do, they're not that bad. Going to work out every single day like you dislike to do, it's not that bad. Going to clean up your room and make your bed and do the dishes and clean up the house and go to the store and all these other things that you dislike, it's not that bad. It's really not. So I highly challenge everyone to do at least one thing that you hate. Do at least one thing that you hate every single day. Every single day. And I guarantee you, I fucking guarantee you that you will begin to see how much that hateful thing, that thing that you dislike, is not that bad. For real. I get nervous all the time when I come on this show. But I understand that I have to do this every single week. I am not going to crumble. I am not going to fall into I'm not going to let anxiety win. I'm not going to let nervousness win. I'm not going to let any of these things win. Why? Because I'm building myself. I'm building that callus on my brain, just like we have that callus on our hands after we lose weight. Anything that hurts is going to rebuild stronger, right? So this nervous feeling that I get, I'm going to come back stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So do one thing that you hate every single day. It don't matter what it is, how long it takes, or whatever. Just write something down. Do something small. Do something small. And I guarantee you that in turn will prepare you to face that trauma, will prepare you to face that fear. It will prepare you to face something that you dislike. Why? Because you're going to tell yourself, man, I've been doing this shit that I dislike every single day. I can do that. Not that big of a deal. So, my self-care piece or regimen, advice, challenge, whatever it is that I give to you, man, do something that you dislike every single day. Do one thing that you hate every single day, man. Terrence, man, I appreciate you for listening, man. Accepting the trauma helps the healing process. Running from the trauma is like running from the healing. With the right support, people who experience trauma may not get back to how their life was 100% before, but it gives them an opportunity for a new normal. Terrence, it's shit. Man, that's 100% correct. That's 100% correct. And that's also going into the main topic of the show, right? Because what I always tell people, and even in a lot of the work that I do, we fight so much to get back to where we were at within that previous relationship. Right? We fight so much to get back. I want this relationship to be how it was. I want things to go back to how they used to be. I want it to be the same with my boyfriend and girlfriend and all this other stuff. No. We got to understand, once you are burnt, once that trauma hits you, you will never get back to that place. That previous relationship that you had is dead. Kill that. You will never get back to that. Work on creating something new. As Terrence said, that new normal, right? What is normal at the end of the day? Because normal changes every now and then. However, you have the opportunity to create your new normal when something negative does happen. So, Terrence, you're absolutely right, man. And that right there was the perfect segue into the main topic of the day, which is the benefits of losing it all. Benefits of losing it all. Man, it's as I said earlier, man, a lot of things in life is a mindset. A lot of things in life is a mindset. And we look at losses as like, it's over. Life is done. I cannot continue to move forward, and I can't go do this and I can't do that and everything else. My life has just turned to shit. No, that's not the case. Unless you are dead, it's not over. Unless you are dead, it's not over. Right? The reason why Terrence's comment was a great segue into this is because he mentioned, you're not going to get back to that old relationship. You have the opportunity to create something new. You have the opportunity to create a new normal. See, when everything falls apart, this is probably one of the biggest benefits when it comes to losing it all. When everything falls apart and your life turns to shit, like there are some people who've had terrible years this year. Shoot, there are some people who've had consecutive bad years, like back to back to back to back. But what we have to understand, when everything is torn apart, when everything is torn to pieces, and when your life is turned to shit, and when you have nothing, you have no money, you literally starting at zero. You have the opportunity to create the person or the environment that you want to create, right? Because I read in this book, I can't remember the name of the book, but I read in this book that adults over the age of 25, 9 times out of 10, it is hard to teach them things. It is hard for them to change. Why? Because they're stuck in their ways. But the one thing that will always change them is trauma. The one thing that will always change adults is trauma. Why? Because when we're hit with something traumatic, everything falls apart. Everything breaks down. We have nothing. If that traumatic moment is the worst thing that you've been through up until that point, it's over. Everything is done. Everything hits the floor. But the reason why you change is because when you get back up, you're a new person. You have a new mindset. You have a new outlook on things, on that situation, on life, on the world, on your life. How do you feel about certain things, certain people? Who was there when you was going through the shit? All this other stuff. You have a new outlook on it. But within that space, you also have the opportunity to create that one thing that you want to be there, because that trauma that's hitting you, that's God's way. That sometimes can be God's way of resetting your life. That sometimes can be God's way of resetting things you go through. Please understand that. That traumatic event, that traumatic experience that you've went through can sometimes be God's way of resetting your meter. It sometimes can be God's way of resetting your life so you can have the opportunity to start at zero. When you lose it all, when your life is turned to shit, and when you have nothing, you have the opportunity to start to zero. So when everything is on the floor, ask yourself, what are you going to pick up? What are you going to take along with you? Right? At the top of the year for myself, I felt that everything had fell apart. Right? I'm big on looking at myself as an individual who can be able to get through anything, right? Because I've been through a lot, right? I've seen death. I've been homeless, been broke as shit, been slept in cars, slept outside, slept on any freeways, like been through the foster care system and all this other reckless shit that I've been through. So, and I'm in a good place. 26 years old. I have 2 master's degrees. I'm on the path to be a doctor. I have all these things going for me. I have a nice job. I'm affecting and touching people's lives every single day. Yo, I'm good, especially compared to where I was at. So I take pride in myself as being that strong person. However, earlier in the year, right, I felt like I lost it all. Earlier in the year, I felt like I lost it all. Why? Because I've been through everything in life. I believe I've been through some of everything in life up until that point other than heartbreak, right? And at the top of the year, I was in a position to where I was fucking brokenhearted. At the top of the year, I was in a position to where I was brokenhearted, right? Breaking up with someone can cause people to commit suicide, cause people to think of suicide, cause people to fall into this deep depression, cause their anxiety go up, send people into a psych hospital, do all of these things. So when my heart was broken, I felt like I lost it all. Like, I literally cried. That's what fucked me up, because I cried in that situation. I didn't even cry at my mother's funeral after I watched her. Like, I didn't even cry at my mom's funeral. I didn't even cry for my mom's death, but I cried within that moment. And I was like, shit, it's over. I was at my lowest point, and it's shown in everything that I was doing. I was much more aggressive. I was snapping off on employees. Did I snap off on a few patients? Nah, I ain't. But employees, yes. Co-workers, yes. Friends, yes. In certain environments, I was very, very aggressive. Shit, the girlfriend that I have now, she was like, when I first met you, you was an angry motherfucker. You was just mad. But that's where I was at. That's where I was at that moment, and I felt like I lost it all. But within that moment, everything had failed. I had looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, yo, Willis, when you get back up, what are you going to take with you? right? Because when everything shatters, you're able to look at everything about you, your insecurities, the lack of confidence, the good, the bad, and everything. So when I fell apart, I had to look at, my insecurities, how tough I thought I was, which in reality I really wasn't. I had to look at how conceited I was, how stuck up I was, how stubborn I was, how all of these things. I had to look at it all. I had to look at how I was not vulnerable when it comes to situations. I was not, empathetic and caring when it comes to people's feelings. I was a straight fucked up guy, So when everything had fell apart, I was like, yo, what am I going to take up? What am I going to build next? What will Willis grow into? And what will I also leave on the floor? All that shit that I just spoke about, whether it's the guilt, the insecurities, all of that stuff, a little bit of it is still there. However, that does not define me now, right? That does not define me now at all. I'm a much better person because of it. I've grown into a much more secure individual because of it. Right? I've learned so many things about myself because of it. And that right there was a thing that caused me to get to a place to where I need to push myself on every single level, every single limit. Because I done been through that shit and I'd have been through other things after that. So it's just like, just why not go forth and try something new? Create this new Willis. As Terrence said, create this new normal. Create that new person. So when your life does turn to shit, understand when you fall apart and when things shatter, you have the ability to create whomever you want to create. That person that you want to create, that person that you've always wanted to see. But the thing is, we look at life as if it's just fucked up. And things are always going to be bad. But if I would have looked at my situation, or if other people would have looked at their situation as if I'm going to be depressed forever, I am not worthy to get out of this depression. This happened because of me. Everything is my fault. Everything I touch is going to turn to shit. You will never, ever get out of that situation. That's why that self-care piece is so, so very important. To do something that you hate. Do something that you dislike every single day, because that's going to build that callus on your brain. That's going to give you the ability to create something new. That's going to give you the ability to create that new person. Period. We have to understand, dog, that is the best time to start over. The absolute best time to start over. And if you don't start over, how are you growing? Right? How are you growing? How are you getting better? We all need to give ourselves the credit when it's due. You've made it through the bullshit. You've made it through the trauma. You've made it through the rapes. You made it through the depression, especially when it comes to this year. You've made it through the trauma, the rapes, the abuse, the narcissistic person, the terrible, the toxic relationship. That whack ass job, that fake ass friendship, that everything. You've made it through all of that stuff. And all of that stuff probably torn you apart. But the biggest thing is, though, you have the opportunity to create this next person, this new person. And that new person is going to be stronger. That new person is going to be wiser. That new person is going to understand how to get through situations, how to get through the next situations. I always tell patients in my groups, in all of my groups, life ain't all happy-go-lucky and all these other stuff, right? I'm not the therapist that's going to tell you, just be happy and switch your negative thoughts to positive thoughts and do all of these beautiful things and just smile. And no. Life ain't going to be peaches and cream all the single time, every single day. Shit is going to be fucked up. Your milk will get sour at certain points in your life. When it gets sour, though, what are you going to do? Right? I tell my patients all the time, when you're closing one door to one problem, that's doing nothing but opening up the door to another problem. When you're closing one door to one problem, that's doing nothing but opening up the door to another problem. So after you've lost it all and you started to build yourself up, that was one problem that you tackled and that you've overcame. There goes another one ready at the door for that ass. But here's the thing. What that one problem is doing, what losing it all is doing, it is preparing you for that next problem. However, we do not give ourselves the ability to prepare for that next problem, to prepare for that next thing in life, right? We look at those individuals who are strong or resilient as these individuals who are just wired differently, right? I'm reading this book. Well, I've already completed it, but this guy probably has one of the dopest stories I've ever heard, I've ever read, period. This guy named David Goggins. He has a book called Can't Hurt Me. I highly suggest everybody that's listening to this to read that book. That shit is crazy, right? People look at this guy as he's wired differently. He does a lot of things that we ourselves would never do. Shit, he became a Navy SEALs individual. Became a Navy SEALs. He completed Navy SEALs Hell Week with 2 broken legs. Why? Because he built that callus on his brain by doing certain things he built that callus on his brain by doing certain things that he just hated. He told himself, I'm not going to be that previous individual that I was. See, he'd been through a lot of shit as a kid. He's been through abuse, racism. Father was abusive, and he witnessed his mom getting beat up all the damn time, and all of these other things. He had a fucked up childhood. And he got broken down so many ways. But he built himself up. He created that new person, right? All of those individuals made him stronger. But every single problem that he overcame, there was something else right there ready for him, right? So the thing with that individual, that resilient individual, and those other individuals who do not feel as if they're not resilient, we have to understand that it's a mindset thing, obviously, right? How do you look at the situation? Because we got to understand that we need to be in full control of our life at all times. So when it comes to these problems and when it comes to these things that are always going to be there, we have to tackle those problems like, yo, this ain't anything new. I knew you was coming. I knew this bullshit was going to happen. I knew my life was going to fall apart at some point in time. I knew something was going to happen. So when it does come, you won't be surprised. When it does come, that previous problem that you had, that you went through yesterday, that gave you the strength, the wisdom, the courage, the resiliency, all of these things to be able to get through that next problem. Right? Another thing that I always tell my patients, when it comes to life, we need to stop looking at life as something that's pretty and perfect and all these other things. No, life will give you shit. Life will give you shit. Life will give you a bunch of bags of shit. Life isn't about cleaning up all of your shit. Life isn't about cleaning up all of your problems. Life is about figuring out which bag of shit smells the best. Life is about figuring out which problem you can take on. Because what it is, nobody is depressed because of one thing. Nobody is thinking of suicide because of one problem. Nobody is in a psych hospital because of one particular thing. No, it is a collection of shit that they have going on that they've been stuffing for years and months. They've been keeping to themselves. And when they look up, they finally look up. They finally like, yo, I need to fix myself. They look up. They like, yo, I got to fix all that. I got to attack all those problems. Nope. I'm finna go in my bed and isolate and just be miserable. No. When you're looking up and you see all of these problems, when you are looking up and you see all of these problems and you see all of these things that you have to tackle, you have to understand that you do not have the ability to tackle everything at once. Nobody does. Not me, not anybody else, not no other therapist, I don't care how strong you are. Nobody has the ability to tackle all of their problems at once. So give yourself the credit, the time, and the ability, to just focus on one thing at a time. Focus on one thing at a time. Focus on one problem at a time. Focus on one thing that you don't like about yourself all the time. For example, if you're an individual who's not smart, if you believe you're not smart and that's a problem, and because you believe you're not smart, you cheat yourself out of life by cheating on certain tests, by not speaking up, by not reading, by not doing certain things. And then that's going to cause a whole list of other problems that you have going on in life. So now you're just like, fuck it. What do I need to fix? I'm not smart. I'm not this strong guy. I've been an idiot. I've never been able to graduate school and blah, 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 and all these other things. Now you're just depressed. Now you're feeling bad. No. What are you going to take on? If you're going to take on that negative thought of you not being smart, okay, bet. Figure out how do you learn. Read more books. Watch certain things, right? Learn on YouTube, right? Because everybody doesn't learn the same way. That person, if you believe you're not smart, it's not that you're not smart. It's just that you are not able to learn the way you are being taught. Figure something else out. That's all it is. Just like any other problems in life. If you have a financial problem, that financial problem is attacking every other little thing. Do one thing to attack that financial problem. What's one bill you can cut out? How could you find another job? Can you recycle cans? There's always something you can do to fix that one problem, doing something one step at a time. And then, before you even do that, what you can do is prioritize it. Don't try to take on that big problem in the beginning. Don't take on more than you can chew, because you're just going to set yourself up and now you're going to be fucked up. What problem can you just take on now? And even if you fail at attacking that problem, it won't hurt you. Right? So when you have 10 problems, take on the least problem, the one that you know you can fix. Because when you're at that bottom and you start to fix one problem at a time, what you're going to do is you're going to start to build momentum, because you're working from zero. So when you're working from zero and you get to 1, you're like, oh shit, I got to 1. And then you can get to 2, you're like, oh shit, I got to 2. And then you get to 3, 4, 5, 6, and then boom, you get knocked down back to 4 or 3 or 2. But when we get knocked down, we forget that we've came up this far. So when you've lost it all, don't forget about those previous wins that you had. Count all of your W's. Count all of your W's when you're at the bottom, because those W's are going to allow you to understand that I can get somewhere. I may be nowhere now, but I've gotten somewhere in the past, so I can get somewhere now. I tell patients all the time who are going through some form, who are dealing with, who have sobriety issues, right? Who are trying to get sober. It's patients who have been sober for 3 months, 4 months, 2 years, 5 years, and then boom, they hit that plateau within their sobriety. They think they good, and now they done relapse. Now they're feeling all bad. I have to let that individual know that, yo, you made it to 4 years, you can make it to 5. You make it to 3 days, you can make it to 4 days. You make it to 2 weeks, you can make it to 3 weeks. You can make it to whatever you can because you made it there before. It just doesn't seem like you can get to it now because of how you're feeling. But I'm telling you this right now, if you just take that shit out of the equation, take your feelings out of the equation, and if you just look at exactly what you did before, you can do this shit again. And if you look at what you did before and what caused that relapse, you will make sure that you don't hit that speed bump again. You will make sure that you will go a different route when that problem comes. Look at your W's, dog, and never forget that. I'm going to go into the comments real quick. Didier, no more living a reactive lifestyle. No more living a reactive lifestyle, man. Let's be proactive, not reactive. We're not trying to react towards anything. We're trying to be proactive. We're trying to control the narrative. We're trying to control how we feel, control how we look, control our emotions, control our mentality, control our mind. See, when we're going through these things, we have to understand that our mind is our biggest enemy. Nobody will be able to talk shit to you like you can talk shit to yourself, period. In life, nobody will be able to talk shit to you like your mind can talk shit to yourself. Why? Because your mind knows everything. Your mind knows how you feel. Your mind knows what went on. Your mind knows all of this other shit. Work at controlling that. And one of the ways to work at controlling that is doing that self-care piece. Doing something that you hate every single day. So when you come across certain things where your mind is telling you all of these negative stuff and all of these negative thoughts, it won't control you. You won't be like, fuck it. Nah, you got this. You got this. Terrence, absolutely, you're right, man. In the moment, it's hard to realize what your struggles are. Preparing for what your struggles are preparing you for. That callus on the brain. Sorry, it's hard. That callus in your brain builds strength, endurance, and resilience. Yep. It's hard to figure out what you will never know what problems are coming. You will never know what problems are ahead of you, right? You're never gonna know that. You know, We don't really know what speed bumps are going to be there. We don't really know what potholes are going to be there, you know. But those problems that we've been through in the past, building that callus on your brain is going to prepare you for that strength, that endurance, that resiliency that Terrence was talking about. That I'm talking about, that Terrence is talking about, that Didier is talking about. So we got to understand that we can't get too caught up in our losses, right? There's a lot of individuals who've had bad years this year, you know, and if we get so caught up in that bad year, in that fucked up year that we've had, you're never going to win. You're never going to get through it. You owe yourself that. At the least, you owe yourself the opportunity to be able to try to get through your shit. So when your back is against the wall and you've lost it all, understand you have the ability to create that person that you want to create. You have the ability to pick up whatever you want to pick up. You can leave all of that bullshit, all of those insecurities, that shame, resilience, that guilt, that everything that you hate about yourself. You can leave that on the floor and create something new. You have the ability to do that when everything falls apart. You have the ability to get stronger when everything falls apart. You have the ability to get wiser and smarter when everything falls apart. When you are back at zero, I said this before and I'm going to say this again, that trauma may be God's way of resetting your meter and putting you back to zero so you then can start over and become that individual that God sees you as. That's what we need to work towards. That's what we need to understand. That's what we need to make happen today, tomorrow, in 2019, in 2020, every single day. Work at that. So as always, man, I want to make sure that I leave you all with some type of question, and I never write the question down. I always figure out the question in the midst of the actual show. So the one question I have for you all is, when you are broken down, when your shit does turn to dust and everything shatters, what are you leaving on the ground and what are you picking back up? What are those negative things that you're leaving on the ground when your life shatters? And what are you picking back up? When your life turns to shit and your whole world shatters, what will you leave on the ground when you get back up and become that new person? Me, myself, I left those insecurities, the shame, the me trying to be too hard type shit. I left that on the ground. What else did I leave on the ground? Oh, me being too big-headed. That was another thing. I was too cocky. Right? When you're an individual who go through a lot of things and you've made it through all of that shit, you start to begin like, hey, I can go through anything. I know it all. You don't know nothing. I got this. Hell the fuck not. I just got what pertains to me, not what pertains to that next individual. So I had to leave that big headedness on the ground. But understand this. Just when you're getting back up, there still may be little traces of that stuff there. There still may be little traces of those insecurities. When you start to notice those small traces of insecurities, don't beat yourself up. Just accept it. Accept it. Me, I'm insecure about being on this show. I'm insecure about being on this mic. I'm insecure about being a therapist. I'm insecure about, my group therapy sometimes and all this other stuff. But that's okay. Perfectly fine. One, we're not perfect. Nobody is 100% fully secure in anything. There's always going to be the what if. And that one if is that small bit of insecurity that you do have. It's okay to have that what if. But when you have that what if, you need to have 100% faith in yourself that you know you're going to do the best and everything that you can to get out of that shit. So even though I am insecure in these areas, I don't care. I'm going to do everything that I have to do to make sure that all of this shit goes by as good as it possibly can. So, for yourself, when your life is broken down, when shit is over, when shit hits the fan, you have nothing to lean against, you have nothing to lean on, and you have no one to lean on but yourself, and you're picking yourself back up, what are the negative things that you're leaving on the ground? What's the positive stuff that you're going to take with you when you're creating this new normal? So As always, man, thank you, Diddy, to my man tuning in. Thank you, Terrence, for my man tuning in. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in but did not comment. Thank you to all those individuals who have tuned in the middle of the show. Thank you to those individuals who will not tune in at all. Thank you to those individuals who will be listening, watching this video when it gets on YouTube. Just thank you to everybody. Please be appreciative of everything that you've gone through, of everything that you will go through, and everything that you haven't gone through. Appreciate it all. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone. Always remember, y'all, ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed and take care of yourself. Happy New Year, y'all. Peace. See you in 2019, y'all. Peace.